What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more am I the butthole? And if you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along a timeline below. But before we do get into today's stories, I just want to thank a few members that have been rejoining and new members just recently. So we'll start with Wishful Array joining us, Journey Rose, TNT Man, Shannon Hawthorne, To The Motion, Flotten, Hannah Elza, Talon Sage, Sarah Briggs, Bethan Taylor Actor, Bbrack, Seba Rera, Katie Smith. Thank you so much for your rejoins. I may have said some of you guys already, but you know, I love you. Thank you for the support, thank you for the memberships, and everyone for just taking 20 minutes or so out of your channel every single day to be joining us. You're absolutely incredible. And let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story does follow up with an update, and it's from Absolute Failure. Am I the arsehole for telling an employee she can choose between demotion or termination? I own a vape shop. We're a small business, only 12 employees. One of my employees, Peggy, was supposed to be opening yesterday. Peggy had recently been promoted to manager after 2 solid years of good work as a cashier. I really thought she could handle the responsibility. So I wake up 3 hours after the place should be open, and I have 22 notifications on the store Facebook page. Customers have been trying to come shop, but the store is closed. Employees are showing up to work, but they're locked out. I call Peggy and get no response. I text her, same thing. So I go in and open the store. An hour before her shift was supposed to be over, she calls me back. I ask her if she's okay, and she tells me she needed to take a mental health day and do some self-care. I'm still pretty pissed at this point, but I'm trying to be understanding, as I know how important mental health can be. So I ask her why she didn't call me as soon as she knew she needed the day off. Her response, I didn't have enough spoons in my drawer for that. Frankly, I don't know what that means, but it seems to me like she's saying she cannot be trusted to handle the responsibility of opening the store in the AM. So I told her that she has 2 choices. 1, go back to her old position with her old pay. 2, I fire her completely. She calls me all sorts of ist now and says that I'm discriminating against her due to her poor mental health and her gender. None of this would have been a problem if she simply took 2 minutes to call out. I would have got up and opened the store on time. But this no call, no show shit is not the way to run a successful business. I think I might be the arsehole here because I am taking away her promotion over something she really had no control over, but at the same time, she really could have called me. So Reddit, I leave it to you. Am I the arsehole? Edit, I came back from making a sandwich and had 41 messages. I can't say I'm going to respond to every one of you all individually, but I am reading all of the comments. Anyone who asks a question I haven't already answered will get a response. Now, first of all, we all know here that mental health is incredibly important, and looking after your own mental health is, incredibly important. But the issue is that you can't just walk out your job, not call anyone, and tell someone you're having a mental health day just like that. You need to discuss that with your manager. You need to discuss that with your boss. Any of us done this in our jobs. Very rarely, I think, you wouldn't get pulled up for it because you're basically damaging the business by doing so. Those customers could have went somewhere else. They may have found another vape shop and now they might be regular customers there just from doing that and not opening up on time. And again, I say mental health is incredibly important, and her probably taking on that managerial role may have put extra stress on this person's shoulders. So I'm still going to say it's not the arsehole because I think regardless, they still could have called you and that would have solved the issues right there. But Iolus79 says not the arsehole, you aren't taken in the way because of her gender or poor mental health. You are reacting to her not following the sickness policy of contacting you before a shift. To be honest, not showing up or contacting anyone, I wouldn't have been given her the choice. However, check that legally you're okay with that. And OP does reply to this one saying, I gave her the choice because I kind of feel the whole thing is my fault. I promoted her past her level of success. She was and is an amazing cashier, so I figured I'd reward that. But being good at sales doesn't really translate to being a good manager. I'd be happy to have her here, doing her old job. And Salt Superior says, the spoons thing is referring to the spoon theory, a psychological theory regarding the amount of energy it takes someone to perform a task. In this example, a normal person might need 1 spoon to call out, but someone with mental and chronic illness might need 4. essentially a way of explaining that it can be harder to do things when you have mental illness in a quantifiable way. That being said, as a neurodivergent person, it is complete and utter bullshit that she didn't make herself call you. It isn't just her shirking her responsibility, it is her making a decision that affects your livelihood and the livelihood of 12 other people. Not to mention that she affected the customers, because how many more tried to come to that store and didn't say anything on the Facebook page? If she didn't have enough spoons to work, fine, but if she can't be trusted to uphold her managerial duties, mental health or otherwise, she doesn't deserve that responsibility. She doesn't deserve the raise and the title to go with it. Not the arsehole. Edit, there have been a lot of comments saying that the spoon theory was actually initially in reference to chronic illness. I've only ever seen it in reference to neurodivergence, so I apologise for being incorrect there. And Mulberry Long Jumping says, not the arsehole, I'm a manager as well and fully believe in the importance of mental health days and taking care of your mental well-being as much as your physical well-being. However, an employee just going AWOL like that is not okay. If they didn't have the spoons to call, they should have got a trusted friend or family member to call instead, or texted and thrown their phone across the room. I'd happily make a last minute call out work. Damaging the business by no showing is not okay, but I'd have a serious talk with her about her responsibilities and be frank about your expectations. It's the same as someone calling out half an hour before opening because they've gotten sudden onset diarrhea. Just call or text or tell someone you can't make it. Basically, don't demote or fire her, but put her on a type of probation and make it explicitly clear that you value her well-being, but she can't no-show. Now we'll move on to the update to see what that says. So update. Peggy reached out to me yesterday, apologised and asked if we could meet for lunch. We met up and the first thing she did was apologise again. For the no call, no show, and also for a reaction to my response. She admitted that she knows I'm not sexist or ableist. I don't know if I spelled that right, there's a red line under it, and explained that she was lashing out due to her mental state. I accepted her apology and offered one of my own, both for giving her too much responsibility too quickly and for reacting out of emotion. She explained to me that she had a major issue on Monday, and without getting into too much detail, I'll say that it was the anniversary of a bad thing. She's taken all of her accumulated PTO, up to 9 weeks, and we've agreed that going forward, I'm not going to put her on the schedule on that day ever again. She admitted she's not up to the role of manager. When she returned, she will be in the role of lead cashier, a role I created specifically for her. This way she can keep her raise and not feel like she got a demotion, but rather a lateral transfer. I've also let her know that if she ever feels like she's up to more responsibility, she can let me know, and I'll put her right back on track for the manager spot. I've also let her know that if she's ever in a position where she's not able to call out, she can simply text me a thumbs down emoji, and I will accept that as notice that she'll be missing her next shift. She's agreed that this will be okay, even when she's out of spoons. I appreciate all the 6,000 comments my post got, even the ones calling me the arsehole. Thank you all very much. I want to specifically address the folks who explained the spoon theory to me, as well as those who commented about Peter Principle. Those two types of comments were very heavily influenced my actions. I was able to better understand both her issue and my own failures as a leader because of those comments. Hopefully we can both move forward from this unfortunate incident and end up better for it. And to me, this just seems like a great boss and a great person. They sat down like a couple of humans and explained, apologized to each other about, reacting the way they did and discussing their mental health and came to a compromise. And I think that is the best possible outcome that could have come out of this story, and I'm all for that. What about you guys? Let me know what you think of this one, and we move on to the next story. And there's another update story, so we'll start off with the original, then go on to the update, and it's from Fishing Under the Sun. Am I the arsehole for not shaving my head to support my best friend? Throwaway for privacy, and also I hate this whole situation and don't need it following me around the internet. I, 24 female, have known my best friend Grace, 24 female, since we were 11 years old, and I love her to bits. We've been each other's rocks throughout all our hard times, so obviously I was devastated for her when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer a few weeks ago. Thankfully, her prognosis is optimistic, but she needs surgery and is about to begin chemo. I cried a lot when I first heard about her diagnosis, but Grace is one of those people who uses humour to cope in hard times, and she's been powering through it with her head held high. She's honestly my hero. We have a group of good mutual friends we've known since school, and yesterday they invited me to a video call without Grace. One of our friends told us about an idea she had that we should all shave our heads in support of Grace since she's going to lose her hair, and make a video to put on Instagram and Facebook and the like. Everyone else looked a bit horrified when I firmly said I wouldn't be doing that. I never had long hair my entire childhood as it's very thick and my mum didn't want to deal with it, and after having short hair as a teenager, I decided to grow it out. I haven't had a proper haircut since I was 17, and now it's almost long enough that I can sit on it, so I'm not keen to shave it off and start again. As someone who lost close relatives to cancer, I also feel really uncomfortable with people who shave their heads in support, as to me it just seems like a performative activism to get attention on social media. My friends all went off on me about how selfish and have no empathy for Grace and what she's going through, but I don't think that you should have to put yourself through someone else's struggle in order to support them. I left the call and woke up this morning to a tidal wave of messages from other friends and family asking me why I was so nasty to my friends when they just wanted to help. I don't think it's made it through to Grace yet. The head shaving thing is meant to be a surprise, and if it has, she hasn't talked to me about it. At this point, I'm questioning if I'm really being selfish and horrible because I adore Grace with all my heart, but I don't really want to lose my hair as well. Now, I'll start off by saying, what I went through with my dad, and he had chemo whilst he was dealing with his cancer, and he didn't lose any of his hair. Only towards the very end he was losing his hair, and I think that was just part of the process basically. But not everyone who has chemo loses their hair. And some points I don't mind people who want to go shave their hair in support of others. It's when they start plastering it on social media that's when I sort of find it a bit more questionable, if you get what I mean. I gotta say, when my dad was going through his cancer and I thought he may lose his hair, and I was really concerned about it, about his feelings and how he would feel, because he always had like a massive thick head of hair, and I've sort of got like the same sort of hair as him, and I thought, oh god, imagine losing my hair. I'd be absolutely devastated, I think. And I did consider, if he was going to lose his, I was going to shave mine off as well. I wasn't going to plaster it on social media, but just in support. But then, and when I was joking with him and talking about this kind of stuff, we was joking about Bob Ross wigs and all sorts of stuff. It turned into a bit of a joke between me and my dad and stuff. We talked about shaving Poppy and sticking that hair on his head. We was loving it. But he turned around to me and said something. He said, look, I wouldn't want you to shave your head anyway, because it's just a constant reminder, if I saw multiple people with their head shaved, it just reminds me that I've lost my hair too. He's like, most of the time, I ain't even going to see my own hair. I don't look in the mirror very often. And I was like, oh yeah, fair enough. You know what I mean? So waffled on there, guys. I've done it again. But Nika Sunshine says, not the arsehole, you're correct. Why do they need to blast us on social media except for the look at how supportive we're being? You know what's supportive for your friend? Being there for her. Helping with appointments, sitting there while she's getting treatment, listening to her needs, wants and fears. What does shaving your head do? I think you should continue to be the best friend you can be, and if anyone gives you shit, tell them to fuck off and stop being attention seekers. And Brooklyn Peter says, not the arsehole, your friends are idiots. Even if we accept them shaving their heads is supporting Grace, questionable, why do you have to support her in the same way as them? I'm sure Grace will need lots of things in the coming days. Someone to hang out, laugh and cry with, someone to run errands, etc. Why are you not just as a good friend as these transparent Instagram clout chasing knuckleheads? Affectionate Cup says, so doing something that makes you uncomfortable is the only way you can show support. I think your friends need to grow up. Followed by one more from Beginning who says, not the arsehole, not all people who go through chemo lose all their hair for one thing. For another, seeing all her friends bald could be a constant reminder of something that she probably won't want to focus on all the time. If she does lose her hair, it can also take much longer for hers to grow back than your friends, and that will also hurt. They have good intentions it seems, but the execution leaves something to be desired. If they want to shave their heads, that's fine, their choice, but to push it on someone who isn't interested is pretty bad. You can support in many other ways, and I'm sure you will. Now we'll move on to the update to see what it says. So, update. It's been way too long, but the dust has settled, so I'm finally able to give an update on the situation. Thank you for all the awards and all the love and support for both me and Grace. I'm happy to say that she is doing very well and is still in great spirits nearly 2 months into chemo. I haven't been able to see her much in person, which is horrible, but we spend most of our days on FaceTime, and I've been giving her all the support I can. After my first post, I made what I think most would agree was the smartest decision and told Grace about our friends' plans. She actually laughed it off. She didn't think they were serious and they'd really do it. Unfortunately, I got an invitation to a Zoom call with Grace and the rest of the group not long after I made the post and immediately got an awful feeling. I really didn't want to, but I went because I wanted to be there to defend either Grace or myself, depending on what went down. As soon as I arrived, I was horrified to see that 3 of our friends had already shaved their heads and another was planning to do it in front of Grace during the call. Long story short, Grace was absolutely mortified. She absolutely decimated them about how they should never have done this without her permission, or even telling her that it was going to happen. And instead of feeling supported, she now has a constant reminder of the fact that she has cancer. We both accused them of being self-centered and narcissistic people who didn't really care about her or her illness and wanted to do it to A, post on social media and get attention, and B, have people ask why they did it and tell them what a good person and a good friend they are. I was trying to keep composed because it didn't feel like my fight to lead, but Grace did not hold back and used far more colourful language. As I said in my last post, she's my absolute hero. Needless to say, neither of us are in contact with those 4 people anymore. Though we are civil from the others with the initial call about the head shaving who didn't actually go through with it. Both Grace and I are very happy that I decided to tell her beforehand, so it wasn't much of a shock when it happened. And she's glad she doesn't have to endure what would likely have been a lot of mock support from our ex-friends throughout her cancer journey. And for some extra satisfaction, for everyone who was mad about the situation as I was, although Grace says it is thinned, as of right now, she hasn't lost any hair. And we'll start with S. Natans, who says, "Lol, my aunt did this when my dad got cancer, and all it did was broadcast to everybody how little she actually cared. His chemo drugs wouldn't cause hair loss, and he was so excited about it that it was the first thing he'd tell anyone who visited or called him for 2 months leading up to the chemo starting." Chaotic Good System says, "The audacity of those people. I'm glad you and Grace are no longer in contact with them. Best wishes and healing light to Grace." XL Pager says, "I'm sorry, but I have to laugh that Grace didn't actually lose any hair, so these people just made themselves bold for no reason. Especially as they can't claim it's to support Grace because Grace wants nothing to do with them. Actual clownery. Grace is my hero too. She sounds awesome, and I'm glad she has a friend like you in her corner while she's going through this, and she sounds like an awesome friend to have. Hope everything goes well with her." Now, what do you guys make of today's stories with updates? Let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your verdicts in the comments below if you choose to share them. And if you'd like to support the channel further, click that like button and maybe subscribe as well. Thank you so much for your love, support, and time spending here with the channel. Your time is incredibly important, so don't forget how awesome you're being by sharing it with me. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.